Anybody knows Frankenstein? I'm sure you might have encountered this story at some point. So, to me, Frankenstein is not just a fictional character. He is a lot more like Victor. Victor was so focused on creating the next big thing, he didn't even realize the monster he created. So, he started with all good intentions, but the road to hell is paved with all good intentions. So, as a product manager, I'm sure that at some point on your career, you worked for a Frankenstein product. I'm Merve, co-founder of Productor. Productor is a product management software for customer-centric teams. To give a little bit more background about myself, I'm an industrial engineer with zero experience. Most probably like the other people working in tech area, I've never worked on the thing that I studied. So, but I work with startups and giant scale-ups and corporates. I worked for a Sequoia-backed unicorn as a growth manager. And then I worked for a rather smaller B2B SaaS startup as a product manager. Now I'm blending these product and growth assets together in Productor as a co-founder. And to be honest, I've seen a lot of Frankenstein products, and the last one changed my life. Actually, I met my co-founder, Samet, thanks to this Frankenstein product. And then we started in the same product team. It was a startup. And we were having the same issues, same struggles in the product team. And then we started to work on it. It's a story that I will never get bored of telling. It's an extremely ordinary story, by the way. Don't put the bar too high. When we first started working that company, everything was, messed up. And we were trying to become customer-centric as a company altogether. One day, management team came and, okay, now we're becoming more customer-centric team. We're like, well, okay. And then everything was messed up because even the users were not able to navigate themselves in the product. They weren't be able to find their way in the product. And then, there was customer success teams. They were always on the follow-up mode with, what happened to the small bug and improvement happened with my account. And there was sales teams always asking about their accounts feature requests because they are trying to, close the deal so hard, and they are most probably over-promising about the product. And there was our CEO. He was bringing another new feature from our competitor, every day, new one. And he was pushing us to, implement that competitor's feature into our product. And we were trying to find a way to listen to our customer's voice in that noise. And our user target, they weren't really well educated in terms of technology usage, so it's really hard to understand their user needs. So our head of product asked us to find a way to, create this visibility between customer-facing teams and all the other teams, and also create a way to make customer decision-based, decisions. So then we brought team tens of tools to make that mindset shift happen. So and then we showed them lots of tools, and then we showed the tools for product management, and then team didn't accept any of them. Then we sat down with Samet. and tried something new on Figma and showed it to our product team. And then they were willing to try it, but actually that was the first UI of Productor. So we started to think on it with Summit, and we talked with 150 product managers from small startups to huge, giant corporates. But we realized that they were having the almost same problems about being customer centricity. It was really hard to scale it. Everyone is trying to do it, but it was not scalable. So we knew that tools were not magic wands, because they cannot make the mindset shift happen. But they can help you with the mindset shift. What do I mean by that? The times that we were doing everything on Excel, mindset shift happened from Excel to project management tools. Now it's time to, those were the times, we were just trying to keep up with deadlines, doing what CEO says, or also do what the most paying customer says in terms of building features on the product or making improvements. And but the time is right now is to find a balance between customer needs and product strategy. So in that mindset shift, product managers are initiating this shift. And that's why we started working on Productor, to make it more on autopiloted. So these are 4 steps that we religiously follow at Productor to understand, to make our product management process more customer-driven. And most of the time, before Productor, I always felt that something was missing in that flywheel. I simply say these 4 steps are the ways to build a customer-centric product management loop, but there is always something missing in that loop, because it's not fair to push all those responsibility to product managers. It's really hard. Let's think about that. Which one do you think you are struggling the most? Understanding the user need, segmenting those feedback coming from all around your target group, or deciding, making the right decision, or communicating it with your internal users, or the outside users. Sorry. These are the steps that we follow. And let's get started with the first one. Most of the time, we fall into the trap of going to our customers when only we need their input. Let's say I'm going to do a user research on this. I need their input. I'm going to my customers and sending some survey, NPS, or something related to what I try to gain. And they know that it's a one-way relationship. You just go to them to ask something. You need to make it you need to be visible to them. You need to create feedback channels. You need to be there when they need you. You just don't show up, hey, I need your feedback, and just tell me something. It's going to be wrong input, most probably. So you need to be visible. So you need to be like Hansel and Gretel. You need to leave those breadcrumbs after you, leave those feedback channels after you. It can be on your product, something like a widget, or it can be your community. You can just leave there a form, or it can be even your website. So you need to be visible to make it a two-way relationship with your customers. And then when you increase the channels that your stakeholders give you feedback, it becomes more complex. Because some of your feedback is on spreadsheets, some of them on Google Docs, some of them are on FigJam file. And then it gets more and more complex to make useful decisions, make use of these feedback. So you need to put all the feedback you gathered from different kind of people, your users and internal teams as well. So when you put them all together, it's really easy. It becomes easier to end up with accurate insights because, like, you're making it a natural process to give feedback for a user or your teammate. So the second one is segmentation. Not all feedback is to be implemented, of course. Sometimes users are like, I don't like that button there. I didn't like the color of it. I don't think that it makes sense. These are kind of feedbacks. It's really hard to understand them and take action on them. So to be able to take an action, you need to segment those feedback according to your product strategy. What is your product strategy? What is your objective as a whole company? What are you trying to do? Like time to time, it changes for us, our objective. Because we are a startup, sometimes we are more focused on acquisition. Sometimes we are more focused on retention or revenue. When you look at those feedback, you need to understand the context. Who is the person giving that feedback? If your objective is to increase revenue, you need to understand that whether it's a paid user or a free user, you need to find ways to convert these free users. Or if you're trying to increase awareness, like activation, you need to more focus on to understand whether this user is an active user or churned user. So based on these product strategy and your objectives as a whole company, you can prioritize those feedback collected from all of the channels that you gave to these people. So third step is making decision. Mostly, this is the part that most products becomes Frankensteins, because it's really hard to make use of these feedback. When you put all these feedback there, coming from all sales team, customer success team, your users, customers, etc., and you have that product roadmap, you gave like weeks of meetings and everything. You need to put them together to make a decision whether you're going to implement that feedback. Is it aligned with your product strategy? And when you listen to wrong feedback from a wrong stakeholder, it ruins your strategy. So that's why you need to put feedback and strategy side by side, and they need to be an input that you can trust. So every product team has its own way to make decisions. We have our own. I don't really believe in templates, and I think that every team has a unique way to make a decision. But of course, we can be inspired by those templates as well. We at Producter, we put all those feedback coming from our diverse channels, and then we put our roadmap items based on our strategy, and we put our columns as acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, all the flywheel thing. Because time to time, our strategy changes. Sometimes, as I said before, sometimes we are more focused on revenue generation rather than activation. I know sometimes it's hard for startups to stay alive. That's why sometimes you're more focused on revenue, and sometimes you're more focused on activation. Every team member on our product team ranks these features, small bugs, improvements, and everything that, creating our strategy or all those goals. They are ranking based on the impact or their impact to acquisition or activation. And when the time changes and our objective changes, we can sort based on that focus, obviously. So that's how we make decisions. And the last part, and this is mostly the most undervalued part, because you are so focused on these 3 steps. It's when you're done with the thing, you have no energy to communicate what happened, what's new with your product. But this is the part that you need to brag about your job, what you did. So when you communicate what you do, it encourages your users. When even when you say no to your users and you communicate it, they're gonna understand it, because right now it's not a one-way relationship. It's a two-way relationship with them. You're building something more trustworthy, and the communication comes with side benefits like increased retention rate, user activation, or reduced churn rate. We have seen that a lot. And communication part was the most valuable booster of our product-led growth engine. That's the most valuable fuel for us, because even we had no product at all, we were communicating it. We were talking with our users. We were sending monthly business updates to our users. We were sending product updates since the beginning. And if you're a startup, it's a way to say that we're not dead. We're alive. We're producing. We're doing something meaningful. And we are so confident that we are sharing it with you. And we have experienced its positive effects a lot, even on not with your users, but also investors as well, because when you communicate it, they know that something is going really good and you're confident about it. And if you're a corporate, that means that you have, most probably you are a huge product. You need to increase feature adoption, feature awareness. Sometimes you build something, as a product manager, you create something really meaningful. You think that thousands of people are gonna love it, but just because you don't communicate it, even someone in your team doesn't have a clue about that feature. And communication comes to a play in that place and increases feature awareness in your team and also among your customers. So I know that these are 4 steps that you need to SEO, powerful SEO blog kind of thing, but it's not something that we all should do manually, because it's really hard to do. And that's why we started working on Productor. It's a product management software for to make decisions around both customer needs and also your product strategy. You collect your customer feedback from diverse channels, leave those breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel, and then you're visible to your users. They give you feedback, and then you need to, whether it's a meaningful feedback or not, you need to take action on that. So you convert it to you convert it to a task, and Productor scales customer centricity at that point. It puts you on an autopilot and sends your stakeholders automated notifications about their feedback status. So your users know that their input is not just thrown into a black hole or something. So at the end of the day, you're going live, the show starts, you have this changelog module, and you can brag about your product news with the related people. So Productor helps teams in that point to scale customer centricity, to create a customer-centric product management loop. So, and I feel so lucky to be here, because my target audience is product managers. That's the best part about it, because I worked for really different kind of target audiences. Now I'm at an event full of product managers, and your feedback is music to my ears. If you ever happen to try Productor, just let me know. We can talk about it. And thank you for listening. I know that there will always be Frankenstein products, and we will be maybe victors working on Frankenstein project. But I promise I will work to the last blood of my to the last blood of mine to make it easier for product managers to not work for a Frankenstein product. So thank you for listening. If you're in Tallinn, just let me know, DM me on Twitter, and I know the best colleagues there, so we can just chat. Thank you. Have and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the audience? We have one here.
Hello, thank you. So my question is, as you're working with user feedback and the other point of or view of getting insights is also publishing roadmaps ahead to customers. So what do you think of this approach? Because it has some pros and cons, because if you communicate too much, then you are over-promising maybe, and maybe you're going to do a pivot or something. So can you comment on this?
Yeah, of course. That's a really good point. We get that question a lot. Actually, when you communicate this stuff, you have a, let's say, public roadmap, you're saying that you're going to build something, and then suddenly your prioritization, your priorities change, then you need to make that communication again, because when you show that transparently, your users going to understand it most of the time, because like I told before, it's a two-way relationship, and our users also really taking benefit of it as well. So.
Thank you. Any more questions? I don't see any hands.
Okay.
So cool. I can ask some questions from you. How do you decide, what are the most useful metrics to understand whether you should be actioning on user feedback or not?
Mm-hmm. As I said, it depends on your objective, and it changes a lot as in product teams. You need to look at that, as I said. If you are more focused on activation, you need to take a look at activating users, how many of those people are giving feedback, active users, or just making comment on the feedback on your product. So you need to look at the metrics about activation. But if you're more focused on the other objective, you need to take a look at related metrics regarding to that.
Mm-hmm. So if your goal is activation, you can basically tag some of the feedback as this is related to activation. Yeah. We should action that. Right, okay. Another question about collecting feedback. Is it possible to collect too much feedback? So it kind of kills motivation to even action on it. I've seen some backlogs that are black holes, that you just write the ticket, but there are already so many tickets, and the system is so messy. Is it just a problem of the system, or is it sometimes also that maybe we're just collecting too much random feedback?
Yeah, I think it's like managing your inbox. You need to take a look at it with a zero inbox approach. You need to, while collecting all those feedback, you need to segment those, categorize them, whether you cannot directly understand what's the missing point, but you can sense the problematic area, and you need to categorize and collect this group of feedback and make it a group, and then consider it based on that. So these are the ways to, manage those feedback coming from, lots of different channels to not make it like your backlog. So.
All right, maybe you mentioned that already in the talk, but I missed it. But I know you said something about opening like two-way communication with your users. Do you have any good tips on how to do that?
Yeah, actually we're using our own product to do that, because like we have a public portal that we give to our users so they can submit their feedback on that, and then when we change its status, they just receive, an automated email saying that, hey, William, thank you for your feedback. We're working on it, or we're just done with it. You can come back and try the thing that you requested. So when they receive that email, they're gonna come back to your product, and most probably it's gonna increase your retention rate a lot, because they just people are so so pessimistic when they give feedback, because they think that company is not gonna take care of it. They think that it's a waste of time, and when you continue that communication, you will build it with time, so that's the way.
What do you think about, I've seen many new companies starting their own Discords.
Yeah.
Is it productive, or is it more like a messy forum that it's very hard to find what is truth and what is not?
Yeah, of course. Among the game companies, they use Discord a lot. We're working on a Discord integration. You need to put those, you need to fit into their way of work. So now we have Slack integration, so they can just create a feedback from there without leaving this, chat there. And also, when you take any action on the items, you also get notification on Discord, so you don't have to work really hard on that communication. It gets really automated with these channels like Discord, like Slack, and everything like that.
I guess Discord is especially good because users and usually the product team is also on Discord, so they're on kind of even level. I can say that.
Yeah.
All right, last question from me. If there is nothing from the audience, do we have anything? Nope. How do you feel about product vision? Is product vision a good filter for user feedback, or is product vision something that is too higher up and maybe too general?
If I get it right, it's really hard, because we are working on our product vision every quarter. We're improving it, and it needs to enlighten all of your teams. It's nothing about your product team or engineering team. It needs to be about also your customer success team and how they're going to prioritize the feedback they gather. And your product vision should help all other teams to make the prioritization, because it's not something unique for product managers. Salespeople also do this prioritization. Customer success and all engineering also prioritize their tasks. So product vision should enable them to make better prioritization for the sake of the company.
Makes sense.
Yeah, cool.
But I don't have any more questions right now, and we're out of time as well, so thank you.
Thank you, everyone.